we know it is true that in every Christian community, in every Catholic family, in fact, in every place in the world, we will always have misunderstanding, we have frictions, and we have division. And so if we think that the Christian community, everybody is always loving, considerate, kind, patient, you are not living on this earth. It must be in heaven already. You are not here. And so if you are on this earth, then you must remember we are living in a community of imperfect people. We are pilgrims on the way. We are not yet canonized saints. We have not yet perfected ourselves in Christ. And so we must understand that in the church, although everyone is baptized, everyone has been forgiven by the Lord, but not everyone is healed completely. In fact, the healing of a person takes a long time. Unless you have a very special grace from God, then you could be healed perhaps radically. Even that is not a perfect healing. And so that is why even in the church, including priests and religious as well, we have different levels of spirituality. So we get all kinds of people in the church. And some of us have been hurt deeply in the past. That's why we are very insecure, very sensitive. We tend to react to situations over very small things. We tend to take them seriously. So we are also conditioned by our past. We must see conflicts in perspective. Actually, it is not a negative thing. In fact, in every relationship, in every family, there should be conflicts. Conflicts are necessary to help us to understand each other better. And so we become more charitable, more careful in what we say and what we do. It might not mean anything to us, but to someone else, it could be a sensitive issue. So this is to help us to grow in respect for one another. So conflicts at home, in relationships, they can be very healthy to help us to mature in our love. It is only when it becomes resentful, when bitterness sets in, then that will be the beginning of the destruction of the person and, of course, of the relationship. Jesus wants us to deal with conflicts in a positive way, not in a reactive way. So what are the guidelines? Firstly, when we have conflicts with people, direct confrontation does not help. Because when we confront a person directly, we already come with a mind that has prejudged the person. We are there to put down the person. We are there to condemn the person. We are there to humiliate the person. And we come like a self-righteous person, as if we have the total truth. So direct confrontation does not help. In fact, it will only destroy the dignity of the person and hurt his or her ego. But at the same time, if we do not engage the conflict and we suppress it, it is also perhaps even more dangerous. It leads to bitterness, resentment, and we will build up our anger against the person until one day we explode. And that is the situation. So suppressing our anger, our resentment is neither healthy. When we want to settle conflict, what is the reason? First, we want to heal those who have been wounded. We want to protect the vulnerable. But equally, we want to protect the sinner. We want to restore the sinner. Everybody needs to be reconciled. It's not just a question of rendering justice to the person who has been wounded. Even the person who is hurting others, he needs to be healed. He needs to be restored. If you don't have the objective, then of course, you will deal with the situation without compassion. But if it is really to help everyone, even the sinner who might be hurting people without even knowing it, how can we heal? How can we restore all of them so that we can be a community of love? So the first objective must be clear. Then we will exercise patience, compassion. The second principle is this. It must be based on dialogue. Dialogue is the way to save the dignity of every human person. Even when the person is doing something wrong, we need to save the person's dignity. The trouble is that when people are angry, they are telling everyone in the world, everybody will get to know it. Are we helping the person? Or are you taking revenge? Ask yourself. The person who has done wrong might have done something wrong. You take revenge, you add another sin. And if a person has done something wrong, God will forgive. But when you take revenge, forgiveness, God only can forgive you, you forgive yourself. And you forgive others. So it's very important, it's dialogue. Dialogue means to try to save the situation. We go to find out the truth. We go to find out what is hurting this person. Why is the person doing such a thing? Trying to understand each other's perspective. If we try to understand each other's perspective, then we can work together and try to have a win-win situation, so to speak. Everybody could be seeing things from different perspectives. Unless we also learn to see from the other person's perspective, then we do not understand why we have this conflict. And if we still cannot come to an agreement, then we bring 2 or 3 wise men who can help us to mediate, to help us to see things objectively, to help us to communicate to each other in case we are so hurt, we cannot see from the other person's perspective. And even if 2 or 3 still cannot, then you report to the community. Then let the community settle it, but always within the community. You don't bring your problem out of the community, because when you bring it out of the community, those people outside don't understand. They don't know what is the situation. They don't know what is the problem. They only take sides within the community, because we are all brothers and sisters in Christ. When you have your family quarrels, what do? You settle within your own family. You don't bring it outside. Because if you do bring it outside, you bring shame to everybody. At the end of the day, you cannot restore anyone. Everyone is broken. Everyone is wounded. And the third principle, of course, is to search for the truth. But the truth must come with love. Truth without charity will destroy people. Charity without love would be a lie. Finally, after doing all these things, what must you do? You must pray. Pray together. If you are in conflict with someone, 2 of you pray together. If you pray together and sincerely ask God for help, Jesus says it will be granted. So don't think we can resolve conflicts just through dialogue alone, through argument, least of all bring to the court. It is through dialogue and prayer.